everybody, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small with Sam, and today we're going to be talking about and reviewing the D-Day German Forces book. So Battlefront was nice enough to send us a copy of the book and the cards, and so that's what we're going to talk about and kind of give you our opinion. I already did a review on the D-Day American book, which you can find on the channel. That was the first one that was out for D-Day. But since I've got Sam here, we're going to do the format a little bit differently. We're going to dive into the intelligence briefing and kind of go over what options you get. So I guess first things first, Sam, overall impression, before we get into any detail, overall impression of the D-Day book.
Yeah, I mean, I really like it. I think it's very comprehensive. So if you're used to sort of Battlefront's previous sort of model of how they would do campaigns, is they would usually release 3, 4, maybe 5 books on a particular conflict sort of in chronological order. So the equivalent would have been maybe D-1 was released, which was sort of like the airdrop into Normandy, and then the Bloody Omaha, I think, was the next one. Yeah. And then they would go from there, Cobra, and I think there's another one. So they sort of release books that are themed around particular events in the campaign, whereas this book and the American book are more the entire campaign. Right. So you get this one book, you can do it all for the most part.
Which is nice too. I like it from a price perspective.
Yes, definitely.
$25 US for one book is great. Particularly ragging on GW, the new Space Marine Codex that came out.
Yeah. I'm
an Ultramarine player, so I have to spend $70 on 2 books to use my army.
Yeah.
$25 for the Battlefront book. Always been a great deal with their books. They've always priced them very competitively. And it's nice too, because even if you don't play Germans, pick up the book and it's not that big of an investment, and you know what your enemies are up to.
And conversely, if you only play Germans, you just need this book. Whereas, in the previous model, each book sort of had both sides.
Right.
So, you need to pick up Cobra, you need to pick up Bloody Omaha if you want to field all the German units that were in the campaign. Whereas this one, you just need the one book.
Right. And the nice thing too is, just like the American release, you have the book if you want the basics, because the book has. We'll go over the table of contents in a minute, but the book has. Lots of forces, but I think it maxes out at 10 lists or something like that you can make.
Yeah.
But then the cards add the command cards add additional divisions, different ways to play. I think it adds extra units. We'll look at the cards too as part of this review. So it really adds to the force if you want to go into more depth.
Yeah, so for example, you don't need 5 or 6 different Panzer company lists, one for each division. You just have the one list, and then maybe you have a card that can, you have maybe the 2nd Panzer Division card, and that's going to change something about your force that makes it more representative of the 2nd Panzer Division, but you don't have to have a whole entire list based around it. Yeah.
Right. And a good and bad thing, though, too, is that it's up to the player if they want to play historically.
Yeah.
They've got to play historically. Because you can add a unit from Fortress Europe to your D-Day list.
Yeah.
So Ferdinand's. If you want to be gamey, these books will let you be gamey.
Yeah.
But it's a historical game, so hopefully you're playing within the confines of that. At least that's how we like to play.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's something if you're going to an event or you're just playing with friends, that's something that you kind of have to enforce yourselves.
Yeah.
Do a little research into the actual formation that you want to run. But it makes it easy for someone to say, well, I just want to play my Germans against something else. Here's an easy way to slap together a list. Because an issue, I think, with a lot of the lists in previous editions where you had very historical lists, but they were lacking something in a competitive environment. Maybe you could only take 1 tank support platoon, and no army in a tournament, an infantry army in a tournament with only 1 tank platoon is going to do very well, right? You usually need 2. So slimming down the list, but giving you the ability to play very historical if you want, or sort of more open is nice.
And that's nice too for players who maybe don't care that much about history, or that's just their collection. They want a D-Day army and throw some Ferdinands in. Hey, that's cool. And then play against the Russians and Fortress Europe.
And I'll say, in the game that we just played, which you may or may not have seen.
I'm not sure. We have a companion battle report that goes with this. I'm not sure if it'll come out first or second, so no spoilers.
Okay, no spoilers. Yeah. But I took a unit that I couldn't remember if the overall formation that I was playing actually had. But I figured I'd show it off as something new in the book.
Yeah.
So in that case, maybe I didn't quite do as much research as I probably should have, but yeah, it's close enough. I think.
It's a spirit. Yeah. All right. So cool. So I think we're in agreement. It's a decent book. I like it a lot. So I'm going to go to the table of contents and just kind of talk about what we have here. Okay. So let's talk about the different lists we have. So we have the Beach Defense Grenadier Company. So, and we'll go into detail in each one of these lists in a moment, but we'll kind of go over the contents right now. So basically, shorthand, it's a lower quality force that defends the beach.
Yeah, sort of an immobile defense unit. Yeah,
right.
A lot of guns.
So you've got like a lot of Grenadier platoons. You've got a lot of machine guns and mortars and anti-tank guns, but not a huge amount of mobile armor.
Yeah, so plenty of stuff to repel beach invaders.
Yes.
Not so much against massed tanks, for example.
And I think you're excited about this Fallschirmjaeger Division, the 3rd Fallschirmjaeger Division's in the book.
Oh, yeah.
And you get 2 lists. You get a Fallschirmjaeger Company, and then you've got a Stug Assault Gun Company.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very cool. So that's exciting.
I kind of like the Stug.
Yeah, they're nice.
Okay. All right. Then we have the 503rd Heavy Tank Company, which is your Tigers, that classic formation.
Yeah.
So the Tigers are in the book. Then you've got the Panzer Lear Division, and they offer a lot of companies in that one. Right?
Yeah.
So you've got the, sorry, my book keeps jumping. What do we have in that one, Sam?
So we've got the classic Panther Tank Company and the Panzer IV Tank Company, an armored Panzer Grenadier Company, a regular Panzer Grenadier Company, so on foot, and a reconnaissance company.
Nice. So the Panzer Lehr has the most lists in the book.
Oh yeah.
And they were, history-wise, they were kind of like the example formation, or like the pinnacle of this is how a division should be set up.
Yeah, it's what the Germans wanted their new Panzer divisions to be equipped with and set up and everything. Didn't quite work out that way. But,
yeah, by the end of Operation Cobra, they were pretty shattered. But. And then you've got support units. The book also has like a painting guide and some battles, some scenarios.
Yeah.
And the battle report we actually played one out of this book, Armored Fury. And they're interesting. They give you some new tactical choices that you didn't have in the basic rule book, which is always good. I think. But yeah, so that's it. So now let's go into a little bit more detail about the individual lists.
Sounds good.
So go down. All right, so we'll start with. I guess what we got is German special rules first. I don't think there's anything new special rule wise for these guys.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
So they've got everything that you'd expect from the German, from Fortress Europe.
Yeah.
Stormtrooper, bazooka skirts.
One thing I would keep an eye on that necessarily wouldn't change now, but will probably change as we get later into the war is Panzerfaust Limited 1. So right now that means essentially, you equip a Panzerfaust and they can fire 1 in every shooting phase. It makes sense that it's limited 1 now. It might change to limited 2 or 3 or what have you later on, but it's still limited 1 for now.
Yeah, because as the war went on, you had a ton of Panzerfaust in the unit because they were running out of tanks. All right, then we've got, let's keep going down here.
Yeah, you sort of have the
Know Your Tiger.
General descriptions of the vehicles and companies.
All right, so we have the Beach Defense Grenadier Company. So basically, your required units in that one are, okay, sorry, that's the force, yeah.
There's also a lot of good history in here, guys. So if you're unfamiliar with parts of the D-Day and Operation Overlord battles, it's a pretty good resource.
Actually, let's talk about the force organization chart first.
Okay.
So that one is, so you have your formations and then you have your support units. Mm-hmm. And the way you build, obviously, in version 4 is you can have one or more formations. So you could have a Grenadier company supported by a Panzer IV company. Or you could just have one formation. And then you have a whole bunch of support units that you can pretty much take for any formation as you build your force.
Yeah.
So we talked about the formations, and then the force itself gives us some options. And some of these options, I think that's where you get your Normandy flavor from. You know, you have your Jagdpanzer IV platoons, your 88s, your Pumas,
Puma
which
show
are
up for the first time, yeah.
yeah, because Pumas were not in Fortress Europe, right?
Correct.
So now they're a support unit, and you know, your artillery, your anti-aircraft, your rockets, your observation post, your AA, that all comes out of those support units.
Yeah.
Then they do have a wild card slot and a formation support. So the formation support is you can field a compulsory combat platoon box from any German or Waffen SS formations as support units. So that means if you you know, you take a Panzer Grenadier company, you could add a platoon of Tigers,
Yeah.
you know, or something like that, or out of another book. So
Yeah, because even though it says you can take a unit from a Waffen SS formation, there are no Waffen SS formations in this book, so you'd have to
Right.
wait until that happens.
yeah, yeah. So because there is going to be a SS book
Yeah.
for D-Day as well. Then let's keep going down here. So then we're going to start with the Beach Company, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of cool history. The maps, a lot of these maps though
Yeah.
are the same maps we've seen before.
Solid maps, though.
They are. They're great maps.
Yeah.
I like them. My son, when he was in school, used them for projects. All right, so let's talk about the Beach Defense Grenadier Company first.
Okay.
So this is you're playing a beach landing or just off the beach. This is your basic defense force.
Yeah.
So you know, in the required, you've got a couple of infantry platoons and an HQ. What I like about this, kind of like the American Rifle Company, you have a lot of other units in the core formation.
Yeah.
So if you lose a couple of rifle platoons, your formation's not going to break because you
Yeah.
can take things like, and we're not going to go over everything, but you can take things like machine gun platoons, 15 centimeter gun platoons, mortar platoons, tank hunter platoons. So all of those are in your core formation, so
Yeah.
they keep those grenadiers in the game longer, which I like. Most tank companies don't have that option, but the you know, these infantry companies do have a lot more support.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to go into too many points or anything like that, but I do want to talk about the Grenadier Platoon in the Beach Defense Company.
Okay.
So that one, you know, because that's going to be your core formation for that. I think you can run it two different ways. You can take it as rifle teams, or MGs and rifle teams, or just MG-42 teams. But they're pretty cheap
Yeah.
platoons. Now they are hit on a 3, so they are the equivalent of trained
Yeah.
troops, and they are, you know, like a green skill level, and have a really bad last stand.
Oh, awful. Yeah.
But they're dirt cheap. You could actually probably take 2 of these formations
yeah.
quite
You
easily.
take a mess of infantry, for sure.
I don't know if there's any rule on taking 2 of the same formation, but if you could, that might be a tactic. But yeah, so that's the Grenadier Platoon is pretty nice. It does have some upgrade options. You can add a couple of heavy machine gun teams. You can add 2 Panzer Schreck anti-tank teams. So it gives you some good options to update.
Yeah.
You know, you want heavy machine guns if you're doing that beach landing mission.
Sure.
You want to be able to stay far enough back, but still hammer the Americans as they storm the beach.
Yeah, because you don't necessarily want these guys getting assaulted by infantry.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump on to the, let's see, what's next is the Fallschirmjaeger.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have a Fallschirmjaeger army, so
I do,
this
yeah.
this is cool for you. All right, so the Fallschirmjaeger Company is the infantry formation, and it's pretty standard. It's got your HQ and up to 3, you know, platoons of Fallschirmjaeger.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it's got some good support platoons, so you can have up to 4 additional platoons to support you.
Yep.
Machine guns, mortars, more mortars, and anti-tank
Yep.
guns, which are always great. I love having mortars, that option for mortars, because you keep them back
Yep.
and your company doesn't break. you hide. And here you could take double mortars
Yeah.
or machine guns.
Yeah, just set them behind a building or somewhere where they can kind of stay out of the firefights.
As long as they're alive,
Yeah.
your company can't break,
Yep.
which is nice. So this is obviously probably the most elite force
Oh, yeah.
in the book. And so let's talk about the platoon. Why don't you talk about that one, Sam? I know you
Sure.
are a Fallschirmjaeger
Yeah.
fanboy.
So I am. So my Fallschirmjägers are modeled in Italy, sort of Italy themed, but they're pretty similar here. I mean, this is when they're still at their sort of peak of combat fitness. So you have really big platoons, 10-stand platoons, to start, which is amazing. Yeah, you're fearless, you're vet, you're rolling 3+ for just about everything.
Is that version more than version 3? Did they increase the number of stands?
The base is the same.
The base is the same.
So 10, so like 3 groupings of 3 or what have you.
Yeah.
They're still rifle MG teams essentially, and you can give them the Panzerfaust upgrade, and you can give them 2 attached heavy machine guns, and then 2 Shrek teams. So you can get them up to like 14 stands.
Nice. So you're talking armored rifle numbers there.
Yeah. Armored rifles, fearless armored rifles.
Fearless.
Yeah, I mean they mean business for sure.
Which is nice, yeah, because they are, you're, like you said, they're 3+ pretty much across the board, except hit on. They're hit on
Yeah,
fours
force,
because
yeah.
they're careful.
Very careful.
So yeah, that's good. Now I know you pay a ton of points for a full Fallschirmjaeger platoon, but
Yeah.
2 or 3 of those are
They're going to hold an objective.
they will,
sure.
yeah. And then we got the detail on all the support units, but that's pretty standard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the next company is the Fallschirmjaeger Stug Assault Gun Company. So this is pretty good. This is the first tank formation in the book. And normally German tank formations, and correct me if I'm wrong in Fortress Europe, but normally it's just the tank platoons
Yes.
in the formation.
Yeah.
So this is similar, but it does let you also include either a beach defense Grenadier Platoon or a Fallschirmjaeger Platoon.
Yeah. For your 4th sort of.
For your 4th, yeah.
Formation platoon.
So you could max out your tank formation at 5 units,
Yeah.
which would mean that you're sticking around quite a bit. And like a regular Stug company, one of those platoons could be the Stu H, the assault gun version.
Yeah, one of the platoons. Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah. And can they max them out? What's the number they can take?
4.
They can take up to 4.
Yeah, 4 per platoon, which is good.
Yeah, because again, these guys are Fallschirmjäger, so you're paying a lot of points for that 3+ fearless and this 3+ skill check and all that good stuff. What do you think of the Stugs?
I love Stugs. I love Stugs quite a bit. I was actually a little bummed out that you couldn't get more Stugs in some of the other D-Day lists. I think this might be the only Stug option. Now, you technically could take this with any force, but they'd be Fallschirmjaeger Stugs rather than regular Army Stugs.
Right, yeah, you could add a single platoon of Stug assault guns.
Yeah.
But,
I was kind of hoping for a Stug company, a standard Stug company, but I mean, this is amazing, so we can't really complain too much.
well, you could. Fortress Europe's got one.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True,
So Fortress Europe has your basics covered.
Yeah.
And then in Fortress Europe, I think you could take one of these platoons
As a support.
As a support
Yeah.
platoon.
That's
so
right.
you could give it.
You could get your Pumas in with a Stug company or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Stug. I just noticed when I was looking at this the other day that these sort of self-propelled guns, these fixed forward-mounted guns, have generally a worse assault and counterattack rating.
Yeah.
And that's similar with the Fallschirmjägers. I was kind of curious whether they would give them a better assault rating because their infantry is sort of like assault infantry. But I'm actually kind of glad they kept them sort of the standard. So you're not running Stugs into platoons and clearing them out.
Right. They're not meant for assault.
Yeah.
Although you got the assault Howat, the Stu H, which
Yeah.
is great at killing infantry at range.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. So that's the Fallschirmjaeger list. And going through more history, we're going to get to Lear.
Heavy tank, I think.
Oh, heavy tank
Quick,
first. Oh yeah, here we go. So next we're looking at the 503rd Heavy Tank Battalion. So this is your Tiger Company. So I know in previous editions, and I again forget with Fortress Europe that the old Tiger Company was just Tiger tanks in the primary formation.
Yeah, I can't recall if it had it.
Yeah. But this, you've got your 3 Tiger tank platoons you could take, plus in the formation, you could take either you got two different AA options.
Yeah.
You take one or the other.
Yeah.
So again, you've got one unit you can keep behind that will help your formation not run away and
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
If you get really lucky. I mean, unlucky.
And that being said, you do have to spend quite a few points on Tigers because you do still have 2 compulsory Tiger.
You do have 2 compulsory, and each one is a minimum of 2.
Yeah.
But you want to. But if you're taking Tigers, you're.
Yeah,
you're-
five is probably enough in this point in the war.
So we'll see. Maybe against the British lists when they start getting their Fireflies.
Yeah, those Fireflies, yeah.
But yeah. So nothing really too crazy there with the Tigers. Nothing you haven't seen in Fortress Europe, I don't think.
No.
The stats look pretty similar. I don't see any big differences there.
Yeah, I didn't see any differences.
All right, then we move into the Lair Division. And again, we've got a couple pages again with their history, their formations, and then we start with the Panther Tank Company. So again, just like the Tiger Company, you can take an additional platoon of AA, and you have a couple of AA options. So again, you can keep that back to keep your formation from breaking sooner than it should.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember, has the Panther always been front armor 9?
It used to be front armor 10.
I thought so.
I don't know if it changed in Fortress Europe, though. Should we check?
I think it changed in Fortress.
Okay,
Europe,
alright.
but I think it's across the board. So
Yeah.
that's interesting that it used to be 10 in version 3.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was.
It was, yeah.
Now the front armor is the same as a Tiger.
Yeah. And,
So-
I mean, I actually really like that because it really frustrated me that at this point in the war, very few Allied tanks can interact with the Panther to the front.
Yeah.
Now you can at least potentially bail it out.
Bail it out.
Yeah, so you're doing something at least instead of just firing smoke at it, I suppose.
right. Right. And it's still, I mean, at best you can bail it out from the front. You can't destroy it.
But yeah.
But yeah, so so that's the only thing I really notice about the Panther. Otherwise, it's careful, so it's hit on a 4. It's veteran. Its motivation is confident. Last stand is 3, but that's a German special.
That's true.
rule.
Yeah.
But Panthers, you can run a Panther company, but it would be pricey.
Yeah.
You really can't max out on Panthers.
Yeah, because again, you still have to take 2 platoons.
Yeah.
And there is an option to, instead of a Panther platoon, to take a Panzer IV platoon, but that's on your 3rd option. So you're already going to take 2 compulsory
Right.
of Panthers.
So unless you're doubling down on Panthers,
Yeah.
the Panther list, you might be better served with the Panzer IV list with
Yeah.
one platoon of
Yeah.
Panthers. But here, I think each Panther comes out to like about 11 points or something like that.
Yeah, around that.
So it adds up quickly. At 100 points, you can't take.
You take
8.
9. Yeah, 9. Yeah, if you wanted to. That's bold.
And lucky, and the lucky card.
And there you go.
then-
Yeah, that's all you need. Right?
All right, next up is the Panzer IV Tank Company, and no spoilers, but this is the list you used in our battle report.
It is.
So this one's pretty cool because it does. So I think this one's the most flexible because
Yeah.
you've got your Panzer IV HQ, and then compulsory it's one Panzer IV platoon,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second compulsory is either Panzer IV, Panther, or Tiger.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that it can be. You can mix it up like that.
Definitely.
You can take the Panzer IV company, but you don't have to double down on Panzer IVs if you don't want to.
Right, because I mean, Panzer IVs are like half the point cost of a Panther. So if you want to get some actual hulls in your list, I mean, take a big Panzer IV platoon in the HQ, and then throw in a couple Panthers as your second compulsory.
You can, and I think this works well with the German Getting Started box set
Oh yeah.
because that one had Tigers, Panzer IVs, and Stugs. So you
Yeah.
could add some Fallschirmjaeger Stugs
Sure,
as
there you
your
go.
extra formation here.
Yeah.
And then just like the other 2 tank companies, the Tiger and the Panther, you can also add AA in the core formation, mobile wagon and a light AA.
Yeah, I think.
Some of these are
I think
different.
the mobile wagon is new. don't
I think
that's
so.
a-
The other one, the Panther did not have a mobile wagon.
Yeah, they all have like the half track options, but the mobile wagon's the Panzer IV chassis, I believe, with the. I think
Right.
it's got the 3.7 millimeter AA gun on it. Yeah.
It's nice. I like it. I like
Yeah,
how
it's-
that looks.
It's a nice
cool.
model and does some work.
Yep. So I like the Panzer IV company. I think it gives you the most flexibility if you're
Yeah.
going German armor.
Definitely.
Unless you're going extreme, like all Tigers, all Panthers,
Yeah.
this gives you the ability to play with the majority of your models.
And this is sort of the high point for the Panzer IV because mid-war they're very expensive and you can't really take a ton of them.
Right.
And as we progress in the war, you're starting to see more Fireflies, you're starting to see more Sherman 76s, EZ8s, Jumbos, things like that, where the Panzer IVs are really going to drop off as being a very effective tank. But right now, they're in a pretty good spot.
They're in a pretty good spot. Yeah, and I'm wondering, like right now, Sherman 76 is AT-12. I wonder if they're going to go to AT-13 or they're going to keep them at 12. In late war, they're going to AT-13.
Yeah.
Which takes away your save with the
completely.
Panzer IV.
Yeah.
Because when you got that 6, you tend to roll a lot of 6s. It seems like it, which is
well,
cool.
you roll a lot of 6s.
So yeah, the Panzer IV is. I know we get a lot of comments like, why did you not take Panthers or Tigers instead? But Panzer IVs were the most common tank.
Yeah.
And particularly in the American zone with the counterattack, there was a lot of Panzer IVs, a lot more than Panthers and Tigers particularly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Panzer IVs are nice tanks. Nothing new out of the other book, out of Fortress Europe, but they've got they've got bazooka skirts and protected ammo and veteran crew.
Yeah.
So it's a good tank, and
it is. It's solid.
It's a great counterpart to the Sherman.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think them and the Shermans are the same. All right, next up we have the 901st Panzer Grenadier Regiment, so still in Panzer Lair. You want to talk about this one, Sam, the Armored Panzer Grenadier Company?
Sure. So it's pretty similar fare to what you see in Fortress Europe. You've got your HQ and then 2 compulsory platoons, and then you have an option for a 3rd platoon. But then you get a lot of sort of extra kit. So the first thing that I noticed, and I might want to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't know if this is an option for Fortress Europe, but your 2nd compulsory platoon, you can go with a regular Panzer Grenadier platoon, so a Panzer Grenadier platoon on foot, or you can do a reconnaissance platoon, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that's kind of cool. So you don't have to do 2 units of infantry if you don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can do 1 armored and 1 on foot. So that's pretty cool. And then you have pretty much the full complement of additional units in there. So I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you got like 10. You can have like 10 core units, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So you sort of have the armored half-track versions of all the stuff that Grenadiers get. So you got armored mortars, 7.5 guns, the big 15-centimeter guns.
I think they get the armored flamethrower.
Yeah, the armored flamethrowers, which are pretty nice. Packs, AA, they get all this stuff. But you have a very meaty formation, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love that about version 4 in general, is that it rewards you to take bigger core formation. Flesh out that rifle company, Whereas in version 3, as much as I loved version 3, you'd have people min on the company and then max out on the support units. So you'd have these very tiny min-sized companies.
Yeah, I hated facing like Grenadier companies that were 2 minimum strength Grenadier platoons and then 4 Panthers and 5 Panzer IVs.
Yeah. So, and that was just I don't want to say it's a gamey tactic, but it's a way that could be abused.
Yeah.
This way, you're building your company is what's important.
It rewards you to play historically and sort of to the strength of your company.
And the support is great, but it's support, and that's what it should be. Cool. All right.
Oh, one more thing.
Oh.
We'll mention, so the Panzer Grenadier Platoon, because it's Panzer Lair, it's modeled around that sort of like optimized Panzer Grenadier sort of format. So you can take extra Panzer Shreks. So you can take up to 3.
Nice.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Because I think with the maxed out platoon, you can take 7 teams.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then you can add 3 Panzer Shreks.
Yep.
So you get them up to 10.
Up to 10, yeah. You don't get any extra half tracks, but you get some extra Panzer Shreks, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's true. And they're Lair, so they're doing almost everything on 3s.
Yep.
I guess their motivation, they're confident, is 4+, but they're very cool. And you gotta like the German half tracks.
Oh, yeah.
Looking.
Yeah.
If you like half tracks, that's the company to play.
Definitely.
All right, then we've got the Panzer Grenadier Company. So another infantry formation. Looks like mostly the same support as the armored Panzer Grenadiers.
Yeah, it looks like it gives you, so you can take a lot of the armored options, or you can go for the foot or truck borne ones. And then again, your second compulsory platoon can be armored Panzer Grenadiers or reconnaissance instead, so that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, you can really mix it up, and you go with the on-foot version of the anti-tank or machine gun, and save a few points.
Yeah.
Maybe upgrade your Panzer IVs to Panthers and support.
And I really like the 7.5 gun platoon in the half tracks. Those are pretty cool. They're sort of like mini tanks. I mean, they've got two shots. I think they're 9 or 10 or something like that. And so, I mean, they can knock out, side shots on Shermans or Stuarts or something like that. They're pretty cheap.
They, you can take up to 6 of them in one platoon. The 7.5 armored gun platoon, which is nice.
Yeah, so it's a nasty little surprise.
And they've got a 24-inch range. Anti-tank 9, so you really don't want to gunfight Shermans with them, but everything else. 3+ firepower, so that's great against infantry.
Yeah, they're going to wreck like M10s. They do pretty good work on M10s.
They do great on M10s. Well, M10's got an extra point of armor from version 3.
Fair.
They're 5 now, which is nice. All right, so that was the Panzer Grenadier Company. And then next up, we've got, what's the next one? Armored Reconnaissance Battalion. You want to talk about this one?
Yeah, this one, let's see. I'm not as familiar with the Armored Reconnaissance, but it's based around your Armored Reconnaissance platoons. So I think these were sort of what used to be called like the Aufklärung platoons. So they're pretty similar to Armored Panzer Grenadiers, but they've got the short, what is it? Is it the 250 half track? Yeah, the SDKC 250 half track versus the 251. So it's sort of like your short half track.
It's a short bus.
Yeah, it's a short bus, right? And you still get. Where does it say how many you get? Because I think in the old list you got 1 per team, which means you just got
you do.
A
You get
half
7 teams and 7 half tracks.
Yeah. So instead of 7 teams and 4 half tracks with the Panzer Grenadiers, you get 7 teams and 7 half tracks, which is going to give you more machine gun fire, but it's also a larger footprint.
Yeah, that's going to hurt your wallet too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And if you get hit by something that can destroy your transports, you're losing fewer teams, sort of, to each destroyed transport.
And there's no option for Panzer Shreks.
No, just the Panzer Faust on your.
So you're gonna max out at 7.
Yeah, and it looks like so you can also choose to not have the half track, so you could go either on foot or in the half track. So that's cool.
Gotcha.
Save a few points if you want to.
Yeah, well, those guys might be good doing. They can do armored assault just like any other German half track. So that might be a good armored assault force.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
And then they have all their associated support.
Yeah.
Just on the 250 half track rather than the 251. So your 8-centimeter mortars are just on the shorter tracks. Their cannons are on the shorter tracks. The 7.5 gun on a 250 half track is an adorable vehicle as well. It's just so ridiculous looking.
And then you can take a couple of Puma troops.
You can actually get several Pumas in here. I think 2 units at least.
Yeah, you can at least 2.
So that's pretty cool, and you can get the Puma chassis with the 7.5 centimeter gun on it as well. Fixed forward guns, which is an awesome model. I really love that model.
Yeah, I'm wondering how good this will be. I mean, maybe put this against a U.S. cavalry recon.
I think
company would be kind of cool. That could be a fun battle.
Yeah,
because both of them could bring a platoon of heavy hitters, but not.
Yeah, and it seems like with this sort of list, you get a lot of sort of smaller platoons.
Yeah.
But you get a lot in your core formations. I think again you get like 10. So you could lose a few, sacrifice a Puma platoon or a reconnaissance platoon, and you still have a lot of platoons left for your morale.
Well, and I think in lists like these, I think are really more finesse lists.
Yeah.
You really need to play to the game more.
Yeah, definitely.
Panthers, tanks are easy to play with. I mean, it takes skill to play them well, but as a game, it's easy to pick up tanks and do well with tanks. With a reconnaissance company, it's a little bit harder. Infantry companies are hard. I think reconnaissance companies are even harder to introduce yourself to.
Not a lot of room for error, for sure.
No, not at all. All right, then we've got, let's see, support units. So that's the last of the companies.
Yeah.
So we've got support units. So there's a lot of support units we talked about it. You have the Jagdpanzer IV tank hunters. I think those are Normandy, right?
Yeah, those are Normandy. Yeah. So those are going to be the Jagdpanzer IV L48s. So they're the ones with the like the stug gun on them. rather than the later ones that have something more akin to like the Panther, the long 75.
Yeah.
Which are going to be like AT-14 and better front armor. So these are similar to like a Stug or a Panzer IV.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, they're only AT-11.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. You've got your 88 selection, both the anti-air version and the one on the cruciform platform, the low visibility one.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of different AA options, and you've got artillery option. I don't know if any of these artillery units are Normandy specific.
I believe they were both in Fortress Europe. They're sort of like the go-to artillery for.
You get your Wesp and your Hummels.
Yeah. Sort of your standard Panzer division artillery.
Artillery battery, Nebelwerfers, observation. So, yeah. So, and then there's also in support you can have your recon.
Yeah.
I mostly think any company you build, you want a unit of recon.
Yeah.
In this case, a unit of Pumas, even though there's only 2, I think, in this.
Just 2, yeah.
Giving you that option to spearhead.
Yeah.
Is great.
And in a way, having only 2 makes it better than having a large unit because it's easier to kind of conform to the restrictions of the spearhead. So
right.
Staying outside of range of enemy units and deployment zones and objectives.
And I know 2 units in a platoon is terrible for morale, but
sure.
then you have to play your Pumas like they should be played.
Yeah.
They aren't tanks. You're not going to assault with them. You're not going to run around
And to be fair, if they're getting shot at all, they're probably going to die. So you're better off with a small unit that can hide than a larger unit.
Yeah, that's true. And they've got a lot of artillery units. I didn't see any air. There's no air in this.
I did not see air.
Makes quite a lot of sense.
Yeah, sort of the beginning of Allied air domination.
Air domination, yeah. So those are all the units. Just to round out what else is in the book, you do have, it's got a sample company which is using that German starter force, plus a box of Pumas. Yeah.
Hey, there you
so
go.
that's what we're at. And then you've got vehicle painting guide. And what's interesting, I don't know, they switch, but these colors of war, these sets are Vallejo. Did Battlefront stop their own paints?
I'm not sure. I guess I would assume they did.
I'm assuming they did too, because these are Vallejo models or paints.
Yeah, I mean I've been out of sort of the scene for a little while, so
I'm pretty sure
but
these recommended colors I think are Vallejo numbers.
Yeah, I mean German camo medium brown is Vallejo color for sure. German field gray. Yeah,
so that's Vallejo colors.
Which is sort of how it started out for them. I mean,
They
started with
but they had that whole range with the paint bottles that look like bullets.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are cool, but I just kind of mixed on them. I like the sprays.
The sprays were really good.
Sprays.
I still have a can of the German camo yellow dual geld color somewhere. That's probably worth its weight in gold now.
That's good. That's a good color. Then we have a couple of pages dedicated to the terrain. What's interesting is the American Book 2, no specific rules for bocage. And they're just treating everything as hedges. And we play bocage here, and the way I have my hedges modeled as tall terrain.
Yeah.
And if you're up against it for infantry, you get bulletproof cover if it's a big shot across.
Yeah.
But I don't actually see that rule anyway, so that's something we do as. Otherwise, it's low. They're all low hedges, and there would be.
That's boring.
It would be boring. Yeah. It would have. But anyway,
I think that's a good house fix. But it would be nice for them to do something official.
Yeah. And maybe if they re-release their bocage terrain that they have, maybe we'll get specific rules for it. Then they go into D-Day battles. They have a linked campaign, which really is pretty simple. It's just like play these missions in order. Armored Fury, Outflanked, then depending on who won, different battle it looks like.
Yeah.
So those aren't new, but they do have 2 new missions. They have Armored Fury, which we talked about already. That's the one we played our battle.
Yeah. Oh, I think they have 3.
Oh, they have 3?
Yeah.
And then, so Armored Fury is basically armored. So the attacker is seeing a way to get around the flank of a defender. So it's an
outflank style mission.
Yeah. And then you've got outflank, which is kind of similar.
Yeah.
And then you've got Breakout, which is... Isn't Breakout already a mission?
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Breakthrough, I think, is it?
Oh, Breakthrough.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got 3 missions, which I like missions. Now,
Yeah.
I wish there were historical missions, because remember it was the version 2 books, like Cobra,
Yeah.
where they had like the historical missions.
Yeah.
And I only ever did a couple of them, but boy, I had a lot of fun
They're
with
fun,
those.
yeah.
There was that one where the one panther, it's like Barkman's Corner. You know?
Oh, yes.
I remember that mission vividly, where it's one panther and this column of Shermans coming down the bocage.
That's a stressful mission.
That
because
is
it's
very
like, how many
stressful.
bog checks can you make before your Sherman's bogged down and Barkman picks them off?
Now it's easier to cross-check everything, and
Yeah.
you move faster when you do it. I'd be interested to come up with a homegrown scenario. I'm sorry, getting distracted.
No, yeah, that
A
would be
homegrown
fun.
version of that. Plus, you wouldn't let the Allies take hedgerow cutters. Cross-check on a 2+. That's
Yeah.
fine. All right, so that is the German D-Day book. The last few pages are just advertisements for all of their model kits. So before we talk about the cards, let's get your final opinion on the D-Day German book.
Final opinion? I mean, I like it. There's definitely a lot of stuff that's very similar to Fortress Europe, and some of the additions. So one of the things that always got me is like the Jag Panzer IVs are very similar to Stugs, and there's really not much of a functional difference between the two.
Stat-wise.
Stat-wise, yeah. So like aesthetically, yes, there's a difference, but stat-wise, they're essentially the same vehicle. And so like releasing them now in the D-Day book, I mean, now I can use the models that I have. I mean, I had Stugs, so I could have swapped them in for Stugs,
Right.
you know, if I had to. But now I can use the models that I had. But it's not getting you a ton.
Mhm.
And I see similar things, like taking an extra Panzer Schreck in each Panzer Grenadier Platoon is cool, but not necessarily like game-changing.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's nice, it's cool, it's good to have them. I like some of the things they did where you can swap out the second corps platoons with other things, or
Oh,
you
yeah.
can sort of like mix some of that stuff around, and I think the cards are actually going to make that much more apparent.
Yeah.
Some of the cards are going to be really cool. So I'm glad it's out there. I'm glad everything, for the most part, to represent Germans in D-Day is around. Of course, you're going to have more of those SS divisions coming soon, which are probably going to be guys with better motivation for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm happy it's all out there now, and you can kind of play a game.
And this is really only half too, because
Yeah.
you've got a SS book coming, a D-Day
Yeah.
SS book, and I do know that Battlefront's going to be releasing PDF forces.
Yeah.
People have been asking Mark, our friend Mark
Sure,
in particular,
yes.
about 21st Panzer,
Mm-hmm.
and I did have confirmation that that will be a PDF online.
Yeah, because they've got all those funky French
They have
vehicles.
the French vehicles and
Yeah,
stuff.
so that's going to be like a big release, I think.
All right, so so I think the them releasing like the 21st Panzer
Yeah.
will. I mean, that's the first thing. They're giving themselves a way to release those kind of more unique or distinctive
Yeah.
lists.
Yep.
Like I bet when they get to Bulge, the camouflaged Panthers that look like M10s,
Yeah.
that's probably going to be a PDF.
Right.
So I don't know. That
So
could
that's
be in the
gonna
book, but
a pretty different thing.
but it gives you a way to get that into the game.
Yeah, which is good. I think that's great.
So I think this is a great book, a lot better than the initial mid-war releases.
Yeah.
I really like the American book, and I like that one more just because I'm an American player, but I do play Germans, particularly when Jake plays is British.
Sure.
And I think this gives me a lot of options.
Yeah.
It lets me tailor my list to my collection, and also lets me play historically.
Yeah.
Which I think is an important thing.
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to talk about cards next, and we'll be right back. All right, so next up we're going to talk about the German D-Day command cards. So this is different from the command cards that came out from Fortress Europe, which there weren't many.
Right.
I think it was just the Tiger stuff.
Yeah, I think they had Lucky.
And Lucky, yeah. I think everybody gets Lucky. So this has, I think, 49 cards in it. And just like the American release, it's just a way to give you more options. So they didn't have to cram everything in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine if they wanted to put this in the book would have had 5-10 more pages of stuff
Yeah.
that most players wouldn't care about.
Yeah.
But it does give you a way to add something. So what I like is you don't need these cards. If you're a German player, you want to play themed D-Day, you don't need these cards. But again, if you want to take your game to the next level or model a particular unit or do something, these give you the option.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just kind of go through what. We're not going to hit on every single one, but we will do. And if you see anyone you want to talk about, Sam, let me know. But
Sure.
we don't need soft skins.
Right. Yeah. So it's got a lot of the sort of standard the observation posts, soft skin, transports, lucky.
Yeah.
Those. Yeah.
That different OP. Let's see, assault gun escorts. That sounds. Oh, this sounds really cool. Infantry teams from the Fallschirmjaeger Rifle Platoon or Beach Defense Infantry Platoon from within this formation can shoot while mounted or on armored tank teams from this formation to a maximum of 1 team per tank and can dismount when charging into contact.
Yeah.
For 1 point per, well, I guess just 1 point for the formation.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So it's like Stug Riders.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Anything that moves your assaulty Fallschirmjägers across the board faster is pretty cool.
It's always dangerous. I forget in this version if like you machine gun a tank, you can hit the infantry on it. So it's risky to do, but pretty cool. You got a Panzer Pioneer Platoon option.
Pioneer options. Got the Goliath.
Goliath remote control bomb. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is for a German Pioneer Platoon or Panzer Pioneer Platoon. And so I think this rule sounds a lot different than the old one.
Yeah, I think it's simpler than the old one. I think.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's you draw, or sorry, you target a unit within 12 inches of the unit leader, and then you roll a skill check, and if you pass, then the enemy team is hit with a firepower 3+ weapon, and pinned down. And then in addition, it's got like the sort of basically the brutal special rule where you have to reroll infantry gun saves.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I like that. Then you've got some cards that might help with like the D-Day beach landing mission, machine gun nests.
Yeah.
Dug-in Panzer IV platoon.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be fun to model. Yeah, I think Mark's got a few of those modeled up for his 21st Panzer Division.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Old minefields. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
Looted tank. You used that card.
I did.
I'm gonna
Yes.
say what happened.
Yeah.
So it lets you field a Stuart, a Greyhound, or a Sherman, or a Firefly as a looted tank.
Yeah.
And drops your rate of fire to 1, but
Yeah. So if you're using an American Sherman, you lose the stabilizer.
yeah, you lose
rule.
those rules, the
And-
national rules.
And then you basically drop down a training level.
Yeah,
So
but that's cool.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways you can kind of make your force kind of unique.
yeah, kind of fill in a few points too if you've got a couple extra points.
Because the Germans did use quite a few Allied tanks
Yeah.
when they could.
Yeah.
I remember when we did Tank Aces, I forget who ran the German Firefly, but
yes.
the German Firefly is historically correct too. There was German Fireflies.
Yeah.
Half-track Scout Company, Screaming Mimes. That sounds interesting. What is that?
So I think that's the one that lets you take extra Nebelwerfers.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that you see a lot of in this deck of cards is options that let you swap out one of your formation options for something else. So Screaming Mimes essentially lets you, instead of taking a 10-5 artillery battery, you can take another unit of Nebelwerfers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can field a 15-centimeter Nebelwerfer in place of a 10.5.
Yeah.
This allows you to field, up to 2 15s.
Yeah.
So you can. That's really nice.
So that's pretty cool.
I mean, you have to pay for it, but the card itself doesn't cost any money. So it's just letting you have the extra customization.
Yeah. And I think they give do they give a unit? They don't for that one. A lot of times in the fluff sort of italic section, they'll give you a fluff justification for it or historical justification.
Oh yes, yeah.
This one, I don't know if the American one had this, but this one's got a lot of tags for specific divisions. Does the American one have that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's very similar.
Okay.
Let's see. We've got some specific infantry division cards.
Yeah. And a lot of these are for units that are maybe drawn from elsewhere. So Normandy, you have the Germans sort of scrambling to repel the Allies.
Right.
And so they're just pulling equipment from wherever they can or pulling units from wherever they can. So you might have like an elite Panzer division, but with, really poorly trained Luftwaffe AA batteries or something like
Right.
that. So this is a way to show that those AA guns are of poorer quality than like the rest of the formation.
Yeah, and there's how are they? There's 10.5s, 88s. That basically most of these will factor into like -1 point or more. So it lets you get back an extra point or two. You know, at 100, when you're building at 100 points, it's a lot harder to kind of wrangle everything in, particularly with like Panthers or really expensive things. So this way, if you're short a point or two, maybe you drop the quality of your 105 howitzers, and then be able to afford an extra Tiger. Let's see.
One thing I'll say. So you can't take Brumbars in the normal list. And there were Brumbar units in Normandy fighting against the British. But there's a card that lets you swap out Jagdpanzer IV for Brumbars, which is cool.
And the card doesn't cost anything,
Yeah.
but it just lets you swap that out.
So you still pay the points for a Brumbar out of Fortress Europe, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, I'm always curious, like, why didn't they include Brumbars? Was it just a page count thing, or is it still a metal and resin model, and they're promoting the plastics? I don't know, but...
well, I'm curious, too, if it's one of those things where if it's only one specific unit that had them, they're maybe trying to show that it was somewhat rare.
Yeah.
So it's not just something you can slot in wherever.
And it does say that 217 Assault Tank Battalion supported both infantry and panzer divisions against the British.
Yeah.
So
it's sort of like maybe a smaller part of the battle, so they kind of make it special with a card.
And maybe it's more appropriate if you're fighting the British on D-Day to take Brumbars than against the Americans.
Yeah.
Then there's other things too, like the 2nd Panzer Division has a night attack card.
Yeah, which is cool.
So
it's harder to do night attacks now than it used to be because they have to have like fortifications. The defender has to have minefields.
Minefields are usually Mm-hmm.
But still cool option.
Let's see, but there are a lot of those things, like if you want to play a particular division, there are cards for that, like the 116th Panzer Division, the Greyhound Division.
Yeah.
So you want that, it's the card's free, but basically it's changing your motivation and skill.
Yeah.
And again, subtracting points.
Yeah, and that's interesting because that one's for like your core formation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all of the units in your core formation. So if you have 4 units in your core formation, you're getting those points back on all 4 units.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could net a significant.
So that'd be
number
8
of
points. It's minus 2 points per unit.
Yeah, there's another Tiger for you.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like the 16th Luftwaffe Field Division Air Force soldiers. That's pretty cool. They're actually better. That's +1 per unit.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them make the ratings a little bit better.
And you're not always going to use all of these cards, because some of them are specific, like if you're doing one division, you're not going to be using another division.
Yeah.
And some of these cards are specific, like this is only a beach defense platoon or whatever.
Right. If I just could say, I think my favorite one is the bicycle card.
Oh, the bicycle card.
Just because if you've seen me on this channel a few times, I'm terrible at rolling reserves. And the bicycle card lets you, it's 1 point, you discard this card, and you can re-roll your reserve rolls.
All of your reserve rolls.
So say turn 3, you've got 3 dice. Okay, you're going to get 1 in, but it sure would be nice if you got 3 in. Right?
Yeah.
You can re-roll
Farm for that. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, you have the Ost Battalion, Assault Battalion.
You have some nice options for the Fallschirmjaegers.
Oh, yeah.
So you can make sort of the guys that are no longer the cream of the crop, the guys that don't have the jump training and
there's
the
no jump training.
Yeah.
-1 per unit.
Yeah. So they're still pretty tasty, but you save a few points and they're not quite as good at their different skills.
I don't know, -1 point, but they go to, their skill is 4+.
Yeah.
So that's tough in close, because you want them in close combat.
Yeah.
I know that's just one, going from a 3+ to a 4+, but boy, you feel it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Then let's see, we got a character.
Yeah, so there's actually quite a few characters in here. So we've got tank aces just after that, but there are quite a few characters. So if you're familiar with the older books, you've got there's a lot of familiar faces. So Von der Heidt from the 6th Fallschirmjaeger Regiment is there, and he's just gives you bonuses to your morale. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. And you've got Tiger Ace cards with, so that kind of restores all the the options. In version 3, you had a Tiger
Yeah,
die that you
yeah.
rolled, and you could get better rate of fire, or more accurate, or... Okay, so then you've got some more characters.
Yeah, so you've got a few more. So there's some cool ones. One lets you your infantry, or sorry, your artillery range in better. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, you've got a guy for the, I think it's another beach. Oh no, for the Fallschirmjaeger stud company, and he lets you reroll. One to hit dice every time you shoot, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that is good. You know, rerolls are pretty rare
Yeah.
in Flames of War, so any kind of reroll is
Yeah,
awesome.
so that's pretty tasty.
Who's that German I hated playing against, Jake?
Otto Karius.
Otto Karius.
Sorry. He's still on the Eastern Front, I think, now.
But yeah, I think there's more named characters than
There's a
there
lot.
are in the American book. I
Yeah.
think there's only like 3 or 4 in the American book.
And I mean, you can spend quite a few points. I mean, I always mispronounce this guy's name, but Kurt Kinspill. He's I think he's the highest rated Tiger Ace of the war, and he's a beast.
8 points.
Yeah, he's 8 points.
Holy
He's
cow.
like as much as a tiger.
The unit leader
Just
may
about
reroll all
more, you would
failed.
think.
Wow. He can reroll all failed rolls to hit each time he shoots with his... Okay, that's pretty good. So
Yeah.
that's like a Otto Karius.
Yeah,
Light.
he's pretty nasty.
Well, he's 8 points though. So,
Yeah.
so I encountered this with the Americans because I played the American list now, and
Mhm.
I used Poole, Lafayette Poole,
Yes.
in our battle, and he was 4 points, and I don't think he was worth it. So I'm wondering, yeah, you're re-rolling your shots from a Tiger. You put them in a Tiger
Mhm.
for 8 points, but that's almost another Tiger, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not quite another Tiger,
but it's pretty close.
but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, re-rolling your shots or adding 2 more shots to a platoon. I think adding 2 more
Yeah.
is always going to win.
Yeah, weighted dice, yeah, is usually going to win out.
But you know, it's cool that these characters they all look like they do their unique thing. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like there's a lot of overlap. There's a guy for the beach defense. There's a guy for the reconnaissance company. There's a guy for Tigers. There's
Yeah.
a guy for Fallschirmjägers. So that's pretty cool. And the nice thing too is they can, by using this format, because I knocked this format, the command card format, but they can use this format to add things down the road
Yeah.
that they forgot or didn't have time to include, or
Yeah.
maybe make a correction. You know, if they want to errata something, they just errata 1 card, which is nice.
Yeah, easy enough.
But yeah, so that's the cards. So I'll go first this time with my thoughts.
Sure.
So the cards,
Yeah.
like I said before in my American review, they're not necessary. You don't need them to have a good time.
Right.
The only one I think you probably always want to take is Lucky.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have the card, I would still let you take
Right.
Lucky.
Ah, thank you.
You don't have to
So
spend
kind.
$15. Now, at a tournament, I'm sure they'd make you have your card and show.
Yeah.
Where's your Lucky card? But I don't think you need it. So it's not a must buy. Like the D-Day book, I think any Flames of War player, you're going to want that German D-Day book.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think it's a win. I think version 4, this late war release, is going in the right direction.
Yes.
You don't need the command cards, but the command cards do add flavor to it. So if
Yeah.
you're a historical, first and foremost, a historical guy, you're going to want the cards.
Yeah.
You know, if you just want more options, you know, you've got Brumbars.
Mm.
You're going to want the cards.
Or field some Brumbars, yeah.
In the American side, if you wanted to run a cavalry recon company,
Mhm.
you got in the card. Not many people are going to run it, but those you can do it. So you don't need it, but for those players that historical, if you're a historical player, yeah, you want the cards.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to run a specific division
Mhm.
or specific battalion or something like that, then yeah, I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and for those guys who are building, like doing their research and building a formation, building a company at a certain point of time,
Yeah.
these cards will let you do that, and also let you play with models you have in your collection if you're players like us that have been playing forever.
Yeah.
So, all right, any final thoughts? So, what do you think?
No, I mean, I think I'm in the same boat. I like them. I don't usually use special characters. Very rarely do I use special characters, so that's not as interesting to me. But if you are fielding, 6 Fallschirmjaeger Regiment, and you want to play with Von der Heid, well, there you go. You can play with Von der Heid, right?
Right.
So that's great. I'm happy for that. What I really like are sort of like the fluffy I shouldn't say fluffy, this is a real event, historical sort of like little things that you can add in. Like I said, like bicycles. You know? Like having an ability that does something on the field of play that is also historically relevant, I think is really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could recreate Normandy and not play with bicycles at all. It'd be totally fine.
Yeah.
But, you know, it adds that cool thing.
Yep.
I do want to add one thing. Sorry, I'm just going to nitpick. Kurt Niespel, or whatever his name is, the 8-point Tiger commander. He lets you re-roll your hits. Pool costs 4 points, and only lets you ignore stabilizers.
Oh yeah, and he's not even on
in a
SBG
Sherman
tank,
instead of a Tiger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fair.
So he might. I think Pool is overcosted for what he does. But thinking more about it, 8 points for re-rolling a Tiger, that might not be bad.
I mean, that's what, a 20-point single model.
That's a
for 20 points?
20-point single model.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
it could be worth it.
I don't know.
Someone try it out. Let us
It'd be
know.
kind of fun. All right, guys. So there you go. That's our look at the German D-Day book and the German command cards for D-Day. As always, please check us out on Facebook at All Miniatures Great and Small. You can kind of keep track of what we're doing there. Try to post updates so you can see what's going on. Also, please give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube. We always appreciate it. Let us know down in the comments below what you guys think of the D-Day release. Is there any particular unit or formation you are missing? Or do you like it? Do you like the way Battlefront's Late War is going? Let us know. We're curious down there. But as always, we appreciate you watching, and keep on wargaming.